In this episode of Music Recollections, James and Bryan interview Renee about the soundtrack of her life, starting with her first concert, Journey with Bryan Adams opening in Pullman, Washington, and how live music hooked her. Renee and the host swap stories about their own first shows, backstage encounters, including Renee meeting Van Halen and the hosts meeting The Cure, and favorite concert moments. Renee shares how her tastes expanded from classic rock to classic R&B, naming Luther Vandross and Journey as Desert Island picks, and describes recent shows with her daughter like Cardi B, the 1975, and plans to see Miguel, aiming for one concert a month. She recalls seeing Seattle area grunge acts before they blew up, discusses artist stage presence, and talks about working in Seattle at Miramar Records, doing music licensing and enforcement. Bryan and James, over to you.
Really excited today to introduce Renee. Renee is going to be joining us and talking about her soundtrack. So, Bryan, did you want to start off with the first question?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, James, and welcome, Renee. I know we both have a passion for college football and college sports, and we're friends on that level. And you have some really incredible musical experiences. So, looking forward to interviewing you today. So, tell us about your first concert experience.
Yeah, I love that it's called soundtrack too. I love that. First concert was Journey. Opening act was Bryan Adams. Wow, what about that one? So was in high school, and they were in Pullman, Washington, at the Beasley Performing Arts Coliseum. And let me tell you, this girl loves some Journey. I've even actually have had it gone down to my daughter too, who loves Journey now too. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, had a great time. I mean, just blown away with the performance, the opening act of Bryan Adams and how he just stood up there and just sang like I couldn't believe. I mean, I went with two friends. We didn't have like great seats. We just kind of sat. And I think I was just like, I just sat. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing hearing music live. It was just my first taste of it. And it just, I think you say when people say they get the bug or something for it, it was just that live music experience that just kind of, then I just went, I just took off from there with that. But yeah, I do remember a little like funny smoke smell too. And I was like, I didn't know what that was for the longest time. I grew up in a small town, so I didn't know. I was very naive, so I didn't know for a long time what that was until later in my life what it was. But that's all. That's that's a side note of that. But yeah, Journey it was super amazing. It was super amazing. I just remember leaving there and blasting the music all the way home. Just what an impact it had on me, Steve Perry. Whoa. Anyway, that's my first concert.
That's very cool. Ironically, I heard them today on Sirius Radio, and they were saying they played Don't Stop Believing, of course. And they said they always played that as their last song, like 95% of the time. Occasionally, they'll sprinkle it in at the beginning. But do you remember that being like the encore, the final song?
No, I don't even remember order. I just remember it being just amazing, just like everybody just screaming and yelling and singing along and the whole experience of it. I can't even tell you what songs they played. I mean, of course, back then, I'm going to age myself a little bit. I had the cassette of them, so I'm sure it was probably Don't Stop Believing. They probably ended it. I could see that. Yeah, but I don't know. I can't remember what the order is. I would love to know what they did back then. So, I mean, they came to Pullman, by gosh, what kind of tour was that, right? Pullman's not, a hot spot. So, yeah.
No, that's really cool. You should Google the set list. That's incredible. It's
now you make me want to, yeah.
I think we're maybe around the same age bracket because we remember the cassette. My brother was more 8-track probably, but my first album was Journey Escape, AC/DC Back in Black, and then Van Halen 1984. So that totally brings me back. But you're right. We were just talking about this before this podcast. The energy of that concert, the first one, it's unreal. Just meeting the fans, and it's just energy is second to none. I would say sports are close, but it's a different kind of vibe at a concert. You feel that in your soul and your chest, that music, that thump kind of thing. So that's really amazing. Yeah, but it is cool when you see like a rock hero, like Van Halen was one of my first ones. I'm wearing the shirt today too to represent. So
Oh,
but
Fleetwood
seeing
Mac.
Eddie, oh
Fleetwood Mac.
cool, oh wow,
Yeah.
there's a connection there. But
Dress the
seeing
Yeah, I
part.
love
like,
Fleetwood.
wow, I'm in the same audience as David Lee Roth and Van Halen. Like I'm with them now. I do remember that and sort of pinching myself. Like I can't believe it. I remember John Cougar Mellencamp at the time. He was kind of grumpy, and I think he quit early. And I read that about him, that he gets grumpy if he's not happy, he'll just walk off.
Oh, wow.
But I sort of remember that being the first experience.
Can I tell you a story about Van Halen then?
Oh, of
Sorry to
course.
Oh,
sidetrack.
let's hear it.
Okay,
Yeah, no, let's
so
hear
they
it.
came to Pullman at Beasley Performing Arts. When I was in college, they used to have a big act come for like Mom's Weekend or Dad's Weekend. I don't know if other universities had that, but it was a big act. And so a friend, one of my sorority sisters, she knew somebody that knew Van Halen, and there was me in the back with them, hanging out with them. And I know, like, how big they were then, and things like that? No, just a little small town girl, again, just hanging out with another sorority sisters, a couple of the girls, just standing back there hanging out with the band and everybody else. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. But I think about it now, what I thought about it then, I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. But boy, oh boy, was that really cool if you think about it, how popular they were, just on their rise. It was after they came out and stuff like that. So they were just, climbing, and I don't know. I can't remember anything about it. I just remember going backstage and hanging out with her and saying hi to all of them and things like that. That's all I remember, meeting them, like shaking each of their hands and stuff. So, yeah.
Wow,
There you go.
you were up close with them. That's pretty cool. That
Yeah,
is so cool.
that is cool. Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah.
Wow, what do you remember how, because a lot of times these guys are shorter than you think. Prince, I think, is like 5'2", or
Very,
and Angus Young is like 5 feet, I think, or he was.
yeah, about the same height. David Lee Roth was a little bit taller, but skinny, very skinny, very, very skinny. That's what I remember about him. I was like, oh my gosh. And the amount of food, I think I was like, the amount of food and the activity and stuff like that, you don't think about the behind the scenes of it all, people coming and going, the managers and things like that, just the activity that was back there and things like that. That was why I was like, oh my gosh, this is, pretty big thing. So we didn't stay back there long. Obviously they were probably on to something else, but yeah, I was like, nice to meet you. Yeah, very skinny.
That's amazing. Wow,
Yeah.
we met The Cure. That was pretty cool. Talking about The Cure earlier, so we met them backstage, and weren't they? They were kind of shy, James. Sort of. You remember that?
Yeah, they really didn't talk that much. They were just, signing some items, and, they just kind of shuffled the song. But it was really surreal when you see, this was probably right around the time of like MTV and things like that. So when you see a band on MTV, then you get to meet them live. It's just like, wow, this is so wild.
Yeah.
It was 1996. I remember, for some reason. I think it was like around Labor Day of 1996.
Yeah. Nowadays they have that, you pay for the meet and greet and the VIP experience and all that, to meet them, no cameras here, take pictures with this, pay for the pictures and things like that. It's a way different, but I'm like, I just scooted backstage and met them. It's very different nowadays. I mean, I know the experience probably with the meet and greets is great, but just having that little Van Halen experience, it was interesting.
Yeah, well, nothing like that raw energy back then, like that that movie Almost Famous, of
Oh
course,
yeah.
was based on, I want to say, the Allman Brothers and Led Zeppelin with Cameron
Right.
Crowe.
Right. There you go. Sorry.
No, I love that. That's amazing. That's what we love to hear. 100%. Wow. So
Oh,
you
for
throw us
sure.
a curveball. We knew you'd be a great guest.
Thank you.
No, I love it. So Renee, has your tastes in music changed a little bit? So I don't know, classify, I guess, Journey as more classic rock. Are you sort of a classic rock girl, or do you like other genres of music?
I do
What
like
kind of things do you listen to?
I do like other genres. Probably start out with classic rock and then went classic R&B, Earth, Wind and Fire, Michael Jackson. I think that was probably my second or third. Off the Wall was probably the second or third album that I bought. And then once I heard that, then I was off into a little bit more of an R&B world with Earth, Wind and Fire and, Michael Jackson, those albums. So I remember it felt like I was going like this, but I enjoyed that type of music. I remember listening to Off the Wall and just blown away by Michael Jackson. So I kind of veered that direction of R&B a lot. In college, everything was played at the parties I went to. So, I mean, that was kind of fun. They played everything, country and R&B, and, everything was played and everywhere. So I kind of feel like I kind of just, when people say they listen to everything, do I listen to everything? No. Do I enjoy everything? Yeah. I try to pick up on things and listen to it. I probably, because my daughter, I listen to a lot of more of, R&B now, classic R&B. I got her into that. I've gone to a lot of concerts of that as well. So, between the combination of two, I definitely listen to a lot. One genre maybe I'm not a biggest fan, I'll just be honest with you, is the newest country. I kind of grew up on the old country, so it feels kind of, I like the old country a little bit better, but everybody's making music and doing well. So I just don't listen to it a lot anymore. Yeah.
That's cool. Do you find yourself just listening to the old bands you just grew up with, or are you constantly trying to find new artists that you like? Or
I kind of am influenced by my daughter a lot because she's younger. So I just she'll say, oh, you got to listen to this group. So I listen to that group, or you got to listen to this group. So we went to Cardi B and had a great time, a couple of weeks ago at the Climate Pledge, and I had a great time. She put on such a great concert and things like that. So I was like, she's like, do you want to go? And I'm like, let's go. We're going to go see Miguel on tomorrow night at what they call the WAMU, and one of our goals this year is to go to a concert each month. So if she wants to go or I want to go, we kind of pick it and decide what we want to go. So, and we go listen to it. Now, she goes to Cardi B and dances and sings and things like that. I go in my jeans and my sweatshirt and I just enjoy the experience. Like I enjoyed Cardi B. She was a performer, the music, but the people, like we talked about, the whole experience. So yeah, I still listen to my classics, R&Bs and things like that. And then I kind of veer off into what, current pop or anything else she's listening to, R&B type of thing. So I switch around on my Sirius XM radio as well, type of thing. They have some good stations on there. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Because the other ways you're kind of missing out on some really great music if you just kind of stick with the same things over and over again. Yeah, there's really a lot of really, really great bands out there.
There is. Yeah. I don't know. I try to listen to it all, try to give it a shot.
Yeah, that's cool. And you mentioned you have the Fleetwood Mac shirt. I know James is a big fan. So what's the best concert you've attended, and have you ever seen Fleetwood Mac?
I've never seen Fleetwood Mac. Eric Clapton was really good. He was really good. What was really also good is Kelly Clarkson. Kelly Clarkson, when I lived in Texas, she came out, no costume. And then this was young Kelly, a while ago, before her talk show and things like that. But she came out just sang. And she's from Texas, so I think she felt bonded with the people in this, sang the whole time. No costume changes, sat on a stool, stood up, things like that. I don't think she left the stage one time and gave a 2-hour concert of just her singing, talking, laughing with us. I like a good concert that when they interact and talk to you. I don't like you just standing up there and performing. Like, talk to us and cheer us on and say how good we're doing. Give us a little encouragement or something like that. I don't know. But I remember her a lot. I was just blown away by her vocals.
That's cool what you said about Kelly Clarkson. She just seems like a really down-to-earth person. And I mentioned like John Cougar being kind of grumpy, and that always sticks with me. And then the last time seeing Van Halen, when they got back together, this was probably 2010 or 11. They just weren't, you could tell they didn't like each other. And it just sort of came through when they were singing, because I could tell they just really weren't communicating with each other. But it's funny you said that. I'm not really big into the country stuff. There was a band, Florida Georgia Line. They were kind of all over the place, but I remember how much fun they were having, and that just stuck with me. And then one of my favorite guys is Springsteen, and man, he pours it out. Talk about someone communicating with the audience. You either love him or hate him, but for me, he just, man, pound for pound, you can't find a better performer. I mean, back in the day, he played for 4 hours. Did you ever see The Boss?
I haven't ever seen The Boss. No, never seen The Boss. No, saw Beyonce, the other boss.
Oh, that's right. That would be cool. What about Taylor?
I hope I don't get canceled. Not a big fan. I just
Okay,
as
no,
a
just asking.
yeah,
Yeah.
not no. She came and she took over Seattle last summer, was it, or 2 summers ago? And I know everybody went and had an amazing time, and I've heard great things about her concerts and things, seeing clips, viral clips, and things like that. Just not, just no.
But you mentioned MJ. Someone at work was telling me, "Oh, she's bigger than Michael Jackson." I said, "No way. She doesn't even touch him." Back in the 80s, no one would touch. Perhaps Elvis, but and the Beatles, but I don't put her in the same category.
No, I saw Prince. He was amazing. That was a show. He was very good. He was really, really good. It was a short set. It was for something. I can't remember. Once again, I can't remember what it was for, but it was just the impact of it. Um, One of the other ones I saw, I remember seeing was Night Ranger. They did a good job. They did a really good job. And then my favorite story about Def Leppard was I was in Spokane and I was being crushed against the barricade. I was like in front of the barricade and I got pulled over. I lost a shoe and I came around back, and the next thing I know, I'm barricaded again, and the security's like, "Oh my gosh!" And I'm like, "I can't help it." I lost a shoe though. Got pulled over. Like got
Oh
pulled over a
wow.
barricade and went back around and got back in front again just to enjoy the concert. I don't know. That was fun.
Yeah. I don't. Back in my drinking days, I stopped that. I think I told you that, but I remember losing my shoe at Jimmy Buffett somehow. That's about the last time I remember. I remember people doing a line dance that was just horrible, but I did it anyway.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
It was just kind of fun at the time,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
thinking back on it, yeah. Wow, that's cool. So what's the closest you've gotten to a show? Like we snuck up, my brother and I we snuck up to about 10 rows at REM and Rush. That was pretty cool. Like you said, the energy is unreal that close.
Right. Yeah. I'll stand in a pit on the concrete for hours if I need to. So had a great time in those concerts. In the Spokane old arena, they used to have the pit and then they had like a bowl up above. So there's a lot of classic rock. I would call them concerts of, getting down, getting to barricade, pushing my way up front. I think, one of the best things about going with my daughter is that we'll go down on the pit and we'll separate and we'll try to get to the front of where we're at. We won't, we don't have to stand there together. She's gone to concerts by herself too. So she's learned to weave her way and I learned to weave my way, and we just kind of, and then enjoy it type of thing. So we sometimes if we really enjoy them, we'll do that. So yeah, not anything in the Spokane arena. I was pushing my way into the front to the barricade trying to get there. So
That's cool. Have you been there, James, to the Spokane Arena?
I haven't, but yeah, they get some big acts there
yeah.
now. Because yeah, that's pretty much the big draw in Eastern Washington.
You know where else is now starting to become is Northern Quest up there.
Oh yeah,
It
that
has been
casino.
having some good ones. They have a nice outdoor arena and area, or even in the inside, they've had some good acts too, similar to some of the other casino areas around, Western Washington. But yeah,
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 I've heard really good things about that venue.
yeah, it's nice. Yeah, and then Spokane Arena, I don't think they remodel it since then, but it was pretty grunge. It was pretty a dark, concrete floor, just the stage, and you just rocked out then. So that was a long time ago though.
Yeah, it's cool that you're talking about Climate Pledge Arena because I know that that went through a humongous remodel. And actually, I was just watching something the other night on Evening Magazine about all the things that they've done to make that a truly carbon neutral type of arena. So it's really neat. It's not just a place to have sports events and things like that, but it's really a higher mission of making sure things are sustainable and things like that. So it's pretty cool.
It is. It is a really cool. It's you don't even realize how big it is either, like how many people it can fit and things like that. I know a lot of people go down to the Tacoma Dome because it fits more people, but Climate Pledge I think is a big but intimate spot to see people. I've enjoyed it. So yeah. See Space Needle here, Climate Pledge right there.
I was going to ask you about your favorite album. Do you have a favorite album, and what kind of makes it so special for you?
Ooh, I don't know. I don't
We
know.
were stranded on a desert island, and
Mm,
you had to choose only one artist that you had to play would that be, or
Can I pick?
which album?
Can I pick two? One
Yeah,
A and one B. I like
yeah.
Luther. I saw Luther in concert. Luther Vandross. He was amazing. Anything by him, and then probably Journey. Anything by Journey. So I would probably take both of those. Anything like a best of hits type thing, where they, a compilation of all of them. So that's a good combination. So I'd say those two. I listen to on repeat if I'm listening to stuff. I'm like, I don't know what to listen to. I'll listen to one or the other of those. That's a weird combination, isn't it?
No, that's great. That's great. So, you mentioned Journey, and of course they have a new lead singer. Have you seen them in concert with the new lead singer? And how was that?
No,
If so, no.
I have not. I'm loyal to Steve Perry. I know he left by his choice, but I've seen bits and pieces, but haven't. I know I think they came to Climate Pledge's Journey, Styx, and somebody else. Somebody else came with them. They were doing like a tour of the three of them, but I didn't go. Should have gone, but didn't go. So I haven't seen them, no. I know he sounds just like him. I've seen it, but it's just different.
Yeah, it's really interesting, sort of that backstory, how they found him. They were just searching for the lead singer, and I want to say maybe he's from the Philippines. I could be wrong, but he had recorded a couple of YouTube videos, and the band, I want to say maybe Neil Sean, maybe saw him on a YouTube video and thought, oh my gosh, we need to audition this guy for the lead singer. And that's how he was introduced to the band. So
I think they've had some squabbles with some kind of lawsuit going on at one time with even that singer. So you're right. But there was a movie it was kind of cheesy, but it's worth, if it's on Netflix, called Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg. It was kind of similar. He like auditioned for the band, or they found them. Maybe they were, they got the idea from the dude from Journey. Cause I remember that they found him on YouTube.
I remember
Have
that
you
too.
ever seen that movie called Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg?
No.
Yeah, it's probably worth like a rainy Saturday. It's kind
Okay.
of cheesy, but no. What's cool about the last concert? You said you went with your daughter. I think that's totally cool. James, we've talked about that with our parents. Their musical taste was not like ours at all. So that's so cool bonding with your daughter like that.
Yeah.
I've been to shows with my goddaughter, but not. Yeah, that's so cool. So Cardi B. So tell us about that show.
She loves Seattle. I don't know if you've seen clips, but she's gone down the coast and the rest, she's been in Arizona and things like that. And she said Seattle was the best. She was like, I don't know what you guys are doing there, but we were the best. She just performed and interact, and great dancers. I don't think rapping's easy. And she put on a 2-hour show. She came out at 9, right on time, 2-hour show, great costume changes. Just put it all out there, and like I said, she looked like she was having fun. So, I know it's not always easy especially if even in sports, back to back, right? But she was out there performing and loved everybody. Yeah. And then she went out afterwards and went to some club and was performing there too. So she just costumes and dancing and went up high in the sky and, just, got down on the ground and jumped off the stage and went around and, high five people and things like that. She just was really good. She was really good. I don't know. I mean, I knew some of her songs, because my daughter listens to them, but she was good. So yeah, a lot of people dancing.
That's cool. They always say that too much horrifying words to a guy are "let's dance." Now, what about rock and roll? What's the last rock show you saw, Renee?
Does the 1975 count? Are they rock?
Oh yeah,
they're
of course.
awesome.
Yeah, I love them. I could listen to like 10. If you listen to 15 of their songs, you really like 12 of them.
Yeah, yeah. So that was the last one I saw. I think that there was the last day of their tour here in Seattle at the Climate Pledge, and we went. So I really like them. I really think they're really talented, really, really talented band. So, I mean, lead singer, he has his own, but just the musical part of it, the musical instruments and things like that. They have a saxophone and it's very good. It's really good. So maybe that was my last one. I'm trying to
That's
think of.
cool. They have that song called Chocolate. I like. I think it's
Yes.
called Chocolate or something. Yeah, they've got some
Yes.
great songs.
Yeah.
That seems like a band that would be cool to see in Seattle.
Yeah.
They just kind of fit the scheme of Seattle, I guess.
Yeah. He did. Yeah, they did. I've seen it. I saw him twice. I saw him. We have a thing called, it's called the WAMU. I don't know what it stands for. Washington something, but it's in between. It's in Lumen, like right connected kind of to Lumen. It's a smaller studio. I saw, or smaller venue. I saw him there, and then I saw him at Climate Pledge about a year later. So they came back.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
speaking of some of the older school Seattle, what about like bands like Nirvana, Pearl Jam? Wasn't Soundgarden? They were from there. What, Mother Love Bone, I guess. So what about those bands? What are your experiences with them?
Yeah, I may have seen them a few times in some bars and places like that. That maybe before they blew up. With some people, some of it maybe I don't remember because I may have been, doing a little bit of this a lot. But I remember seeing that Pearl Jam in particular at some. I don't even know where we were, and we just kind of walked in and they were playing. So that was probably before they blew up. And then somebody else we saw, and I can't remember off the top of my head. Probably because we were drinking, we were girls. There were a bunch of us girls, and we were just out, bar hopping and ran into them. But yeah, the impact that it had just on. I think at that time I was just getting ready to move from Seattle to LA, and the impact that it had on just what I listened to for a while there, it was pretty heavy. It was pretty strong. Yeah, that it's proud to have that grunge type music from here, and just I remember just how quickly they blew up after that. So yeah, that was kind of, and I was like, oh my God, I just saw them, type of thing. So
Well, I'll ask you both, do you both think any of that sound will ever come back, or is there any bands similar to that coming out, you think? Because it feels like rock and roll's a little bit down right now.
there's a band popular now. They're from Bellingham. What is their name? They feel similar. They're popular. I can't remember, what are they called? Um, they're popular. They've come out with a couple albums and gone on tour and things like that. They're similar to them. I think there's no sound like it, right? So they're similar, but they're not the same. Doesn't everything come back around though? Isn't everything like fashion? It just kind of comes back around. This was an interesting fact. My daughter took a class in college, and it was a music class, and her professor said by the time, and I can't remember the year, so don't quote me on it, in the 2050 something, 2050 something, that all the music and all the notes and everything will have been played, and there won't be any new music. You know how people sample and stuff like that, but there won't be any new music. Everybody will have used it all. I thought that was an interesting fact there. So Google that.
Yeah, that's kind of mind-blowing. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting, especially when they talk about, so many pieces of music are usually just the same, 3 or 4 chords. You think, well, gosh, how much variety can you really get out of those 3 or 4 chords, lyrics and things like that. But yeah, that's pretty amazing. That must be super challenging for an artist to come up with something new. And, I know I tried to keep in touch with, some of these lawsuits and things like that, where, the estate of so-and-so sues a new artist because their song sounds a little bit like, I think it was Marvin Gaye had something that sounded similar to something else that was a little bit more current. So it's so hard to be so unique and really separate yourself from anyone else. So yeah, I just can't imagine. That's
Yep.
a lot of artistry right there.
Yeah, sampling's huge, right? People sample a lot now. So that doesn't surprise me that he said that, and that, that makes sense, because like you said, the same chords or the sampling of music and things like that, there's nothing new. And then with auto-tune, there you go.
Oh, that's right. And wasn't there a band, James, an AI generated band that was out? People thought they were the real thing, including the picture.
Not Milli Vanilli.
Yeah.
Not Milli Vanilli.
Not Milli Vanilli, yeah. Yeah. Blame It on the Rain. That was a good song. I hated to hear that.
I will never forget the year that they won Best New Artist, and like, oh my goodness. And, you know, the Academy or whomever nominated them back then, you know, not even realizing that they didn't sing a single lick on those albums. Pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember Ashley Simpson, Jessica Simpson's sister, was on Saturday Night Live, maybe, and they played, she was lip syncing it and it skipped, and then that was pretty embarrassing.
Yeah.
She just sort of walked off as a song as she's still singing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you were mentioning some of those AI generated bands and songs like that. Yeah, there's some wild stuff out there that it sounds, I hate to admit, pretty good. Um, yeah, and just, you know, either country or rock. And I've been listening to this one poster that they create like cover songs, but it's like more soul versions of like old classic songs. So you might have, you know, Back in Black, you know, sung in a soul kind of version, and it's really really good. But it's kind of scary. I can imagine. I think there's a lot of copyright issues that they're probably trying to work out right now. Protect the
Yeah.
artists.
Yeah, as someone that used to work on a record label and did licensing, it's a very profitable like type of business that, you have to make sure you license it correctly. And then there's the royalties and all those types of things too of people getting paid. So, yeah.
Yeah, we were going to ask you about that, Renee, working for the record label, of course. So tell us about that. That's pretty cool.
It's a small record label here in Seattle. It's called Miramar, and we did Yanni type music. And the group that we represented was called Tangerine Dream. They're German based, I believe. And they
I've
Grammy
heard the
nominated.
name. I think they had a song, didn't
Yeah,
they?
Grammy nominated, and I think they did win a Grammy. I don't know if when I was there. Anyway, I got into it and started doing licensing for them. I think for 2 or 3 years. We were owned by BMG, so we were distributed by BMG. It was just a fun experience. It was just, it wasn't your rocker type. We weren't bringing in any big people or anything like that. But one of the things we did were VHSs, and we had a photographer, a video guy, and we put together all these producers, and he put together all these scenes over like eagles flying over stuff and things like that, and he put them all together and he produced them. And one of our first kids one was Pixar. We worked with Pixar, so before Toy Story and all that came out, we worked with Pixar, and it had a kids version of stuff too. Imaginarium, I think it was called, one of them. It was a kids video. Anyway, yeah, it was great times. It was really fun. We got all the new stuff you could get through BMG. They gave us some, new artists and things like that. Yeah, it was fun. So I was the licensing assistant. So I worked with the lawyer, making sure people weren't using it inappropriately. A lot of times they did, for porn. We caught a lot of our stuff in porn because it was, a mellow, didn't have words in it music. And so people try to catch that. So we'd have to send cease and desist letters, and other people try to use it. And then people would contact us because they wanted to use a lot of the Pixar stuff or the pictures and the music and things like that. Tangerine Dream a lot. So it was a good time. It was fun. It was a really good time.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like work. That's really cool. Wow.
It wasn't. And I just, I don't know how I got it. And, then I just kind of moved over to the licensing assistant and worked with the lawyer and the producer. And we just, had a great time. Yeah, it was really fun. You'll be surprised at what they're like, oh, I didn't know I have to license it. Good times.
Of course. Yeah, just speaking of, just before I turn it over to James to close this out, this has been excellent, Renee. I know you're a passionate sports fan. We all love college football, and my second favorite team is Wazoo. You've made me a huge fan. Wazoo's playing Washington, your rival. For that game, what songs would you play in the locker room?
Oh, well, we play at this right after the first quarter, the Andy Graham song, Always Find Your Way Back Home. and they play it like at freshman orientation and stuff like that. Everybody sings along. So maybe that, I don't know, probably something rap that they want to get them hyped. I'd let them pick probably, because I'm like, you guys pick. But maybe that, just a little sentimental, because everybody knows that song. And we have t-shirts and stuff like that. That's our song. Yeah, I guess I'd stick to that one. And you always find your way back home. So, and I can't sing it, so don't ask me to.
Well, I don't know that one. I'll have to. Do they sing that before the game or
They
after?
sing it after at the end of the first quarter, and they play it. You know, they do a video screen and everybody sings it, and then they show a montage of, you know, old and new and everything like that. If you Google it, you could probably find it. They started it out. They did it one year at homecoming, and then everybody loved it, so they do it. They continue to do it. I remember when I went to the Cheez-It Bowl, they even played it there one time with Coach Leach. So yeah, maybe that. I don't know. Welcome to the Jungle. I like Welcome to the Jungle. I love that as a hype
That
song.
would be great to come out with that. Wow,
right?
that would be awesome.
Right. But you know, there's some bigger universities that have really cool traditions about that. You know, Oregon with the
Enter Sandman,
shout with the shout, and enter the and shout and jump around at Wisconsin.
Yeah, Wisconsin.
Yeah, we
play the Who, Barbara O'Reilly, which is pretty cool.
Oh wow!
In Athens at UGA, that we come out before the game. That's played.
Yeah, we don't have an entrance song though. We need an entrance song because we just come out with the mascot and everybody just cheers. So we got to look into that. So
I have the final question for you. Okay. In what ways has music changed your life or impacted your life?
I guess it's, you know, always present. I started off getting off the bus and learning piano, right? Playing saxophone in my high school band. You know, church hymns. I mean, it's always in your life, right? Whether it's my grandmother whistling a certain tune that you can always hear. So I think it's just, it's, you know, if you hear something, you're like, oh, I remember this, or I remember that. It's just, you know, and it's happy moments. It's always just something happy. You know, it's not a horrible thing to have that in your life, right? So you just try to associate them with happy moments. So it's just always been impactful. I've always, you know, look at me going to Cardi B with my daughter, you know, what experience I have. So it's always been in my life, and it's always been, you know, I think I just want to keep it as a positive influence in my life, you know, a positive part of my life. I don't want to go, you know, negative in it, because especially in now times. So it's just really influenced me on, you know, meeting different people through music and meeting different people through, you know, going backstage, Van Halen, woohoo, you know. So just experiences I have, and just, I don't know how do you say it, just a good impact in my life, you know, just all around. It's always been there. I'll tell you a funny story that I was very naive when I grew up. I said that before, but I don't remember what artist it was. We listened, you know, you listen to them on the radio, and I thought, oh, I'll never get to listen to them again because they, you know, they passed away. So I always thought they were live singing in the radio, and they just did a rotation. But I don't know. It's just been you know, we didn't have the social media and all that kind of stuff. We just grew up with, you just listen to the radio and grew up with music. I had to travel far to go to the grocery store or travel on the bus. We go to a basketball game when I played and stuff, and we just listened to music and cassette tapes and stuff like that. So it's just always good memories, really good memories, and continue to have them through concerts and listening to it.
I love that. And that's pretty much the whole purpose of this podcast, is to get to talk to people and see how music has impacted them and created that soundtrack. So, you know, when something is, you know, on Spotify or whatever, and you think back to that moment where you first started learning how to drive or something like that, or some little happy moment that you had in your life. And like you said, it brings people together, and certainly brought us together today. And I really appreciate all your great stories and love for music. It's been inspiring.
I think what's great about Washington, and you can attest to this, is that there's so many great venues that, I mean, you know, the winery where you can go, and Climate Pledge, and the Tacoma Dome. So you're in a dome, and, you know, the Beasley Performing Arts Coliseum in Pullman. I think and that's everywhere. You know, you can find a venue and enjoy it, a small or big or anything like that, and just step in, and people need that.
I agree. Well, thank you, Renee.
Thank you, guys.
This has been incredible. You're right. With the world that feels upside down right now, Renee, we always say, you know, music, sports that we're all passionate about. and food probably about the three things that really bring people together for sure. So that's why we wanted to do this. And you're right, there's nothing like that raw energy of a show. And I love pizza. I've never had bad pizza. I don't think I've ever been to a bad show. There's just always something unique about it.
Yep.
It really is. I just think that camaraderie and community of being together and just the energy. I've heard like the energy coming off of a stage is like equal to like a 747 jet going off. And then when you're close up, been able to sneak up a little bit, and it sounds like you have too, it's a whole different energy. It's unreal.
Yep. I would say, don't worry about your outfit. Go for the experience and buy the merch. You were there. Buy the sweatshirt, buy the t-shirt, and wear it with pride that you were there. So, yeah, have a great time.
Well, this has been a blast. Well, James, so this is on YouTube called Music Recollections, Soundtrack of the Fans. And we're also on Instagram. We're trying to get that cranked up. So please let us, if you'd like to be a guest, we'd love to talk to you. And you can we have an email address, James?
Yeah, it's music.recollections@gmail.com. And like Bryan said, if you're interested in joining us on the podcast and sharing the soundtrack of your life, just reach out to us either by email, Instagram, or leave us a comment in this YouTube video. We'd be happy to talk to you.
Thanks again. Y'all take care.